Welcome to If People Only Knew, the show that brings untold stories to light. I'm your host, Anna Matson. Let's get started. Welcome to the very first episode, official episode. I had a precursor, but first official episode of If People Only Knew. And today we are with my husband.
I'm very happy to be here and proud of you for getting this rocking and rolling and where your investigative journalism career has taken you.
Who would have thought? And your name is Ryan, by the way, for people.
Yes. Yeah. Not just husband.
Yeah. In videos, I do that a lot. I'm like, This is husband.
This is husband. AKA Ryan. It's just husband. Really.
There was one video where I remember I said, peep the husband. Like you were just in it for like a second. Oh. And everyone was like, hi, Pete. Like thinking that Pete was your name.
That's funny.
I'm like, no, guys, his name's Ryan.
I still love the one where you were trying to record a TikTok and you had the green screen going in the background and I came home from the store and this right here is the problem and I come walking right into the shot. I wish that one would have got posted as a blooper, man. That would have been so funny.
Oh, too funny. But yeah, so as much as you're proud of me, I am very thankful for you. I feel like everyone needs to understand that this would not be happening without the husband. This is now the second journey I've been on, second business I've started. And it's scary at first because I'm like, there's no income and we just have to ride it out and see if it works. So the first time it worked out really well. So hopefully
the second time does too. So we really need it to.
Yeah. So I'm very thankful for your support. Getting the podcast set up alone is like 6 months now in the making.
At least probably from first talking about it.
Yeah.
First initial talks and weighing on it and then the whole process. I think recently, it's only been like a couple months. I think that you've really we're getting the stuff, but you've done a lot of research as to the right equipment and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So. The equipment took a very long time to get down. So, but it's great. It looks good.
Yeah. The shots, everything looks good. Everything sounds good. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm excited. So why are we here?
To record a podcast.
So I always knew that I wanted to talk about my health journey when I started the podcast, and our health journeys are kind of intertwined because, we've only been together like 9.5 years at this point.
Yeah, so only like coming up on a decade.
Yeah. So we might have a little bit to do with each other's journeys. Mm-hmm. So as I thought about this, I feel like we should just have like our own dedicated episodes. We'll just talk about your journey today.
Sure.
And then part 2, which will be a different day, will be mine.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be good. You'll be the spotlight for once in our relationship.
Yeah. Hey, I just remember people around here, they say, you are so lucky to have Ryan.
Literally everybody, no one ever comes up.
They fill up my cup,
Literally everyone goes up to you and says, you're so, your wife is so lucky. Or they come up to me and say, you're so lucky for your husband. How sad. It's kind of sad, but it's funny. It's not sad, but.
I think we're very fortunate and blessed to have each other. I hear stories of people in the dating scene or what you see online and stuff. And we have the goods, just stick it out. I feel like we're going to be one of those people you see online later where they're like, holy cow, these people have been married like 70 years, doing the year dance at the wedding, or be the last ones up there. And
so when they say exciting. This is like totally off topic for what this episode's about, but here we are. When they say like marriage is hard, I'm like, is it though? Or are you just not with the right person?
It's hard for one of us.
Stop.
As everyone can tell, I'm the comedic relief.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so we are here to talk about your health journey. I don't even know where exactly we should start. We definitely want to talk about physical health and mental health. Both have been super important, obviously big for everybody.
Yeah.
And yeah, we really didn't come up with an outline or anything. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but I really just wanted this to flow and be natural. So I thought we should kind of start from like your childhood and everything. So, I mean, what did you like eat growing up, or like just what was health like? Was there a focus like when you grew up? Or I guess talk about your household situation
Yeah.
growing up.
I would say I think that's crucial.
Yeah.
So raised by a single mom, only child. She worked very hard, provided me a very good life. That there's nothing to argue with there. She gave me a lot of love. I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of community, played sports, was very active. Despite being overweight, I think I was very athletic. I was very like fast for my size, played football. So, but as far as like, there was times where there was the microwave meal. A lot of times, we bought frozen food. The homemade meals were usually very big, carb heavy.
So what were these microwave meal? I didn't even know. We were talking about this the other day and I'm like, wait, what?
You name it, whatever was on sale. 10 for 10.
I didn't know
2
if it
for
was
10.
like Schwann's or whatever it's called.
No, we would get Schwann's for some things, but there was Hungry Man was a big one.
So when did your mom worked like a 9 to 5, didn't she?
Yeah, but she was salary too. So
Okay.
I would go to, let's say in the summer. Summer, I'd be at the Boys and Girls Club from like 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
because that's when she could get me there, drive to work, drive from work. School, before school, I would be in latchkey. After school, before sports, would have latchkey. And it just was the commute. And she
So was
wasn't
it
even like far, but she just worked out. She worked a lot of hours. She had a part-time job until I was like 5 or 6 or so. She was she kind of, I don't want to say bounced around, but got a better opportunity at her longest career, the job she had majority or about the first half of my lifetime. The beginning part of it was like part-time, and then she got full-time. So like after that, she lost a lot of her time. I had to go into some of those extra.
Was it a time thing, or just does your mom not like to cook, or like what? I mean, what was it?
I don't think it was necessarily like she didn't like to cook. It was, I think, the time,
Yeah.
especially when in sports and stuff, like it's just so much easier. You pop that in the microwave or you put it in the oven to class it up a little
Yeah.
bit. After school, like I'd be coming home from the bus when I didn't have sports, and she would be at work and come home at 6:30. I would eat something when I got home, and that could be the Tyson chicken nuggets, or like, I mean, I remember making myself a whole sheet pan of chicken nuggets and fries when I would
Did you
come
even
home.
have anything in your fridge?
Yeah, we did, but I made myself, like I would make like grilled chicken salads and stuff too, but I just have always been a big eater. Even now, I can eat big and a lot
Yeah.
and still eat late. I can eat and eat and eat. I remember
You're part of the clean plate
clean.
club.
Yep. 100%.
Still
And
to this day.
when my mom couldn't finish her plate, it went to me. We did not have leftovers.
And that's how it is with us. I don't finish my food and you finish it off.
I think fortunately now though, like we eat whole foods.
Yeah.
Like we eat better foods, even if it's not like the greatest, like it's homemade. Like we do a lot.
Well,
here.
and that's what's kind of funny. So what people don't always know is that you're an amazing cook. Like you are an awesome cook. And some people have told me over the years that sometimes like talent skip a generation because your parents didn't do it for you. So you learned how to do it for yourself. So my mom is a great cook. I can cook. I just have a husband that cooks.
Right.
But yeah, so it's just kind of funny because your mom didn't cook and then you're an amazing cook.
Yeah, I mean, and that's nothing against my mom. I don't want it to be like a rag session on her or whatever. She did cook. She can cook. She cooked home meals and stuff. But I always just I liked it too. That would be one of my favorite things to turn on TV after I did my homework and stuff was the Food Network. Probably just because I love to eat.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I loved it. Discovery Channel, Food Network. That's why it's like,
what did
I
you
gotta
watch
have the
on
Discovery
Food Network?
Plus. I loved Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives.
Yeah.
Was a good one. Bobby Flay, Beat Bobby Flay, Iron Chef. I really liked Iron Chef. Gianna, she did a lot of Italian foods.
That's awesome.
You name it. There really wasn't a bad show on Food Network for me.
So what did you do for breakfast and lunch? Did you have just school lunch or what did you do?
Typically, I want to say breakfast I would skip.
Okay.
That wasn't, I would have, I would usually skip breakfast. It was a roll out of bed, get ready, get on the bus or walk to school. Because in high school I walked. Lunch was a big meal. Depending on age and stuff, I'd have a Lunchable and you name it, prepackaged, whatever.
But you brought from home?
Typically.
Okay.
In high school, I would bring, a lot of times I would bring a thermos with soup.
Oh, wow.
So I'd have soup, 2 sandwiches, chips, a sweet snack. And then I would go get 2 fries at the...
Wow.
Yeah.
That's probably what I eat in 2 days, calories wise.
In high school, especially, during football, we would sell these Blitz cards. They were coupon cards essentially as a fundraiser for the program. And there was all these, it was usually food. And I just remember McDonald's, you could get a buy one, get one free double quarter pounder with cheese. So I would go and get 2 double quarter pounders, 2 large fries, a 20-piece nugget, and a large vanilla milkshake. And that was standard issue McDonald's meal for me.
Just for you.
Yes.
I'm judging you.
Put that down. Listen, you got to understand, I was a big eater, but also in high school, I was very athletic. I was working all the time. I was playing football. I was starting defensive lineman, working out
So when did you start football?
Middle school.
Okay.
Tackle football, middle school, flag football from very early on.
So you were doing that. 7. You were lineman, you said?
Yes.
And
lineman and running back. In middle school, I played everything because there was only 12 guys on the team. You didn't not have a position in middle school with where I went. So
then you also had a job at Kroger, right?
Correct.
So when did you get that?
I was 16.
And what did you do?
Courtesy clerk was all you could do until you're 18. So it was bagging groceries, but I always loved getting carts. Mm-hmm. So that was my game, or how many carts can I push? I remember a bunch of us had a competition. I pushed in 72 carts at once, counted them up, and it was one big line going across.
Before they had the fancy things that drive it for
Kroger
you.
Don't still, well, they may have it now. Yeah. No, there was no fancy handheld button cart thing. It was thunder and lightning,
So at least you had activity.
Yeah.
Now we didn't explicitly say this, but you were a very big boy. Not just
I think
not just thick, you were thick.
Well, so you're probably thinking though when I was in college.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I carried it very well.
Okay.
Again, because yes, I was big, but it was more athletic big. Now there was no part of me that was shredded or whatever. I had a big gut. I have big legs. But I was definitely, I think, more broader, like just everything was like more athletic. Now in college though,
Yeah.
that all went because I stopped
So,
playing football and working out.
well, real quick before we get to that. So, like, do you always remember being a big kid? Like, even when you were like small, were you big?
I'd say when I probably school age is when
Okay.
I started. That's
Okay.
probably the earliest I can remember. Like when I was young, I do remember being thinner, like average kid. Probably going to school and having to pack like processed food lunch,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, that's just when I remember being bigger. I had two drastic weight losses in my life. I remember from sixth grade to seventh grade, I lost like
Oh,
50
really?
pounds. Yeah. You could like the school photos look like two different people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what did you do?
I just started running. I remember in gym class in middle school, I couldn't, like, it took me almost 14 minutes to run the mile.
Wow.
And despite
So,
being in
basically,
football and
walk.
stuff, I mean, yeah, it was like so hard. And
Yeah.
I just was like, I have to do something different. And so I just started making better decisions with my diet. Like I wouldn't finish the plate or I would force like different things. And I lost like over the course of the summer, like 50 pounds. Like it was something crazy. And I just like I said, it was like two different pictures of people. I cut that time in half on my mile between the next year's gym
Wow.
class. And then I maintained pretty well
Can you
through there.
imagine like what everyone thought when you went back to school? Like,
Oh yeah, I compliment up and down. Like, and I was outside, so I had a nice tan. Like in my picture, like, oh yeah, man, it was like the glow up.
so talking from the mental health side of things, like, I mean, kids are cruel. So I can imagine you were bullied pretty hard for your weight.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but you said you had friends though. So,
I had very good friends, very close knit friends. Like they would never. I mean, like we'd razz each other a little bit, but like they would never hurt me like that. But no, you're definitely right. Especially now when I got into football and stuff and got a little more athletic and was a lineman, it got better because like anyone that ran their mouth, I didn't care that they were on my team. Like I made it a priority to make hurt. Basically, I would just aim to hurt them on the field. I didn't care. But yeah,
that is
definitely.
not life advice.
Well, but I was angry,
No,
right?
I
And I
know, I
didn't
know.
have an
Just a
outlet.
disclaimer. We're not
Yeah.
recommending that. But
I
yeah.
didn't have an outlet. I really couldn't, wasn't comfortable. And it's still hard for me to share my true feelings with people. So yeah, football was my outlet. Like
So
I
what
could put
was,
pads and a helmet on and ram into people.
yeah. And like, did you ever talk about your struggles with your mom?
No,
What was your mom's philosophy?
if you have any problems, you bury it. You don't tell anyone. You bury that down. You turn your sadness into anger, and you get back. You get back at people.
See, you've told me that before and it's still like cringe. But the first time you told me that, like, do you remember? My eyes were wide.
Probably not.
I
I
was
don't know.
like,
Yeah.
your mom told you what? Like, what? Someone actually said that to you? Like, bury it
Well,
and
and
turn
I
it
think
into
it was. I
anger?
think it was a generational thing too.
That is crazy.
Like boomers, very much. You didn't mental health and all that. That was like you didn't. There was something wrong with you if you were depressed.
I
Like
mean,
that's
like,
just
I did
not.
not have a good childhood, but no one told me to turn my sadness to anger. And like, I don't know, that's harsh. So, but I guess we'll just kind of move on to college at this point.
Yeah. So had decent amount of injuries in high school. Went to
From
Adrian.
football, I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
you just wear and tear from the physicality of being a lineman. And where I went to school, it was D3. I'm looking at the sideline at one of the walkthroughs and I'm counting 100 players and that was half of the players on the sideline. I was like, I'm not going to a D1 school. I'm not going to get drafted. I had already broken my tailbone and torn rotator cuffs and all this and that, and was like, I'm just not going to risk myself for this to be a hit dummy for practicing for the starters. Right. And so with that, my eating never changed. So the 5,000 calorie meal from McDonald's that I wasn't burning off anymore is now just amassing into weight gain and feeling down on myself for being overweight.
Yeah.
And then got introduced to alcohol in college lifestyle. Alcoholism runs in both sides of my family. So from there, that was like a switch flipped. Well, now I have food and alcohol as an outlet, but no sports or anything. And so it just kind of spiraled from there. I mean, I would drink with a purpose. Like it was to get drunk at least. Usually, I mean, it would be once a week, probably I would black out.
I thought you were going to say,
thought
you were going to say at least once a week I would drink.
No. No, I mean, the last 2 years of college, because of where my classes fell, I was typically done Thursdays.
Okay.
And so like Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, drunk every night.
Wow.
Without a doubt. I would go through. Money was tight. So I remember there was a whiskey. It was like $9 for a liter, which was not quite a half gallon, but it's a fifth in a pint. And I would I could finish that. Maybe a little bit left over, but a 2 liter of root beer and nearly that entire liter on my drinking nights.
I don't know why the root beer shocks me more than the alcohol, but I've never been a pop person.
Not sugar free either. I mean, like, well, you gotta have a mixer.
That's
right?
crazy.
Or the original Four Loko. Then now for the people that understand, this is going to be kind of crazy to them because the original Four Loko drink got banned because of the amount of caffeine and crap in it. They had to switch it around. I would go through probably 3 or 4 of those in a night, which like that is a lot. There's these tall cans and like that's like crazy.
Wow.
So I moved away from those and went to the whiskey because it was cheaper.
Wow.
After you pay $4 for one of those big cans. Well, that's $16 for 4 of those, or I can get the liter of whiskey for $9.
Yeah.
So through all that, I ballooned up to 325 was the last highest number I remember. That's the highest weight I had seen on a scale that I remember. It could have been more, but that's usually my ground zero for where I say I was the highest in my life.
Now, this is going to be harsh. And some people, when I say this, they're like, how could you say that? But it's true. And I'm blunt. I would have never given you the time of day if you were that weight when we met.
Well, to be fair, most women didn't. Okay. I was single until I was 21, 22, something like that.
So I'm just glad that you turned your life around.
You're glad I got a DUI.
Well, we're going to get into that.
Me too. I mean, it changed my life.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, college was, I made good friends. I had good times, but there was a lot of dark times too. I was very depressed, very sad about my weight. And it was just this dark spiral. Didn't understand things. Why? Didn't understand why I was so lonely. Alcohol only fed into the loneliness. So there was a lot of good, but there was a lot of bad too, for sure.
So what was the change? What happened?
Well, the big change, I had a big night of drinking. Mm-hmm. Started very early, so it was a Thursday, and I remember the reason I remember that is because Thirsty Thursday. So like a lot of the bar and restaurants, they had deals for the college students. So there was the authentic Mexican restaurant in town. They had dollar margaritas or like $5 pitchers. And so I had 2 pitchers of margaritas there.
It's crazy.
And then went back to the dorm and had, I think it was like 2 40-ounce beers of like just rancid stuff. Like Steel Reserve. That's what it was. Because I remember it was the highest alcohol by volume you could get.
See, I don't know a lot of like this terminology and these different alcohols because I'm not a huge drinker and I did not partake in the college life.
So at least at the time, I mean, it's been a while, but Steel Reserve was like 12% or something for a beer, and then it was a 40-ounce, which are typically cheaper. It's like $2, $3 or something.
Okay.
So I went through 2 of those, and then acquaintance friend at the time there was like, hey, you want to go to the cafe? And it was called LA Cafe, and we called it Calf Nasty because it was like Thursday night was like the crowd's there, everyone's dancing, dressed in almost nothing, whatever. And I was like, let's do it. And everyone's telling me, well, you're probably going to get really drunk because I'm not really drunk yet at this time. I mean, like, I'm feeling pretty good, but like, they're like, well, you're probably not going to want to drive back. Oh, no, I'm fine, whatever. So he and I drove there, and it was dollar beer pitcher. So you get a pitcher of beer for $1.
No way.
Yeah. So I had 3.
Not in this inflation.
No, not Bidenomics could shut that down. So I had 3 pitchers of beer and numerous shots throughout the night. 151, I remember a few times, which 151 is 75% alcohol because it's 151 proof, hence the name. So I had a few of those. I had Jaeger, just a ton of stuff. And I remember, so it's so wild. I remember like getting up to like leave and everything. Like I remember the night up until like the part that was bad, in large part. So like actually leaving the bar, I don't remember.
Okay.
I remember waking up or like hitting the curb because I had an accident, my DUI, the pastor and I, by the grace of God, we were okay. I just had a bruise on my chest from the seatbelt locking up, full airbag deployment.
Well, let's back up a little, walk through it a little bit better.
So okay, well, we left. I remember leaving. So like what I was told, police report.
Okay.
Made a left turn, just accelerated really fast. Apparently there was an accusation I had hit another vehicle that was leaving. But the police said the car was such a turd already that they literally had no way to prove.
Wow.
So perhaps maybe that's why I sped off, is because I like grazed the car. I don't know. So I was going fast, went into a construction site, and it was kind of where the road split. So I went straight instead of like kind of either curve. And it was a construction site, hit the curb, probably going 90. Went airborne.
With your friend in the car.
Mm-hmm. Went airborne through fencing. I mean, you name it. Like we were up into everything. Rims completely tore up, tires blown, airbags deployed. I mean, and mind you, the car was like 4 months old. It's like a brand new Chrysler 200 that I had leased. And
was your friend intoxicated too?
Oh yeah. I mean, he was asleep. It woke him up.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he like from the time of sitting down and whatever, he was out.
Wow.
Just
so you crash, obviously.
Yep.
Okay. Was your car like upwards? Did you roll at all?
No, we went straight on. So I went up in the air, hit fencing, kept going, and was like up like a kind of like a dirt hill.
Okay.
And I remember like the impact on the curb because it like woke me up.
Okay.
Like, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like I hit something.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm looking around. Okay. And then like, I mean, the cops saw me pull out. Like they were hanging out by the bar at 1:30 in the morning, waiting for people to leave driving. Right. And so like very quickly from there, tap on the glass, like, hey, are you okay? Yep. okay, whatever this, that. He's like, hang tight. You know, and I just remember sitting there thinking, I can beat this. So
Mr. Blacked Out mofo
blacked out,
over
three
here.
sheets to the wind. But let me tell you, this was striking. I remember the look on the cop's face when I walked in the straight line and walked back, did the foot over foot straight line all the way back, spin everything.
Okay, be honest. Did you practice before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably. Yeah. I remember doing it a few times like C, but yeah, definitely. Now, also I don't remember this though, but what was in the police report was like I had to count back from like 64 to 56 or something.
Okay.
And I said like 54 or 56 like 4 times in a row. Like, I mean, like, yeah, it's just like, no. So,
I mean, ideally, it would have been nice if he just pulled you over like right away. Skip all the bad part, right?
well, you know, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
So maybe I wouldn't have gone through and gotten myself cleaned up. Like
So your friend, he was fine.
he was fine, didn't want him out medical. He got a ride home from the cops.
And then you just got a bruise from the seatbelt.
Correct.
What a miracle.
Yeah. So, but I blew
And thank God no one else got
thank God
hurt.
no one got hurt. We didn't get hurt. I mean, yeah, I mean, truly it was a miracle.
Yeah.
I can't chalk it up to anything else. God was truly with us.
Yeah.
But I blew a .263. So over a quarter of my blood alcohol content was alcohol, or my blood was alcohol.
I didn't know that that's how that worked.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
So .263, that means that was a percentage of what was.
So like 1 is like if you had 100%.
Yeah. I mean, you're not getting any.
No, I know, but I'm just, okay. Wow.
So.
And what's the legal limit?
.08. So I was over 3 times. Wow. And I was in what was called now super drunk driving in the state of Michigan. Anything over a .17 is considered that. So
this is not legal advice.
No. So I was required to go to the hospital before going to the jail.
Oh, okay.
Because they had to check me out, not because of the accident, because of my blood alcohol content.
Wow.
So went there, that checked out.
Gotta have some brain damage from that, you would think.
Well, a blackout is.
Yeah.
That's literally your brain shutting down
that's
to like
true.
try to save itself. Like
Yeah.
you've consumed so much alcohol, it needs to. And that was like a weekly tradition. Mm-hmm. So
There's only, I don't even want to say that I really blacked out. There's only one time.
you never have.
Well, my 21st, I remember everything. I was very coherent. I was telling you, like, you need to stop drinking. You have to drive me home.
Yeah.
I am the best drunk.
Now, do you remember repeating that a million
Yes.
times? Oh my goodness.
Because
gracious.
I was so
like,
worried.
I got.
I was like, watch what you're doing. Like, you have to drive me home. I am the most responsible drunk there is. But I just don't remember. We got home. I don't remember walking into the house. That's it. Everything else I remember. And then I remember being on the floor and I don't know. Something like that. I do remember being on the floor.
Yeah, you like laid down because you were petting Piper and stuff.
And then I remember throwing up. I had a typical 21st. And then I remember the morning I panicked and looked at you and said, "Did I say hi to Piper?"
Yeah, that's what you were most worried about. I was like, you're not worried about me up until 4 a.m. cleaning the bathroom.
And Piper's our husky, by the way. So I was so worried. That I came in the house and did not say hi to her.
But I did not harbor any resentment or anger towards you in that because you had taken care of my drunk self so many times. I could go on for probably hours in this podcast with just horrible stories of the things that I've had to clean up after a night. Both like relationships, you name it, like, just everything. So,
okay. So you went to the hospital.
Yep.
Okay. So what happened next?
Went to the hospital, got checked out. Everything was good. go to the police station, have my mugshot, belongings, the whole nine.
I don't even want to see that mugshot. I've never seen
I've
it.
never seen it, honestly, but I know it was horrible because I was upset. I mean, I'm emotional. Like, here I am, a criminal justice major, getting a DUI in my
I forgot
senior
about that.
year. Like, I'm worried I'm going to go to jail, like,
Yeah.
because they were hard on it there and stuff. So, yeah, I've never seen it, and I don't want to see it. I don't. I think I've tried to look. I don't know that it's really anywhere. But, and I just went in the drunk tank, and I slept. And I remember
And what's the drunk tank for people who don't know?
just in jail. Like, it was a big
Yeah.
open room. It was myself and one other person.
Where they just let you sober up.
Essentially. Yeah. I remember waking up and thinking like, crap, this was not a dream. I was like really hoping this didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I got arraigned because it was Friday. So I did a video arraignment, but now I'm a little more coherent. And so I was being combative because they were trying to make me agree to stuff. They want me to sign 3 documents. And I was like, well, I blew a .18 before I walked in this room to come talk to you. You want me to sign stuff. I can't. I'm still legally drunk, but you want to hold me accountable to signing paperwork.
Wow.
This is not legal. This is not lawful. Like, I'm in law class. I'm in like, this literally is not where the paper it's on. I'm drunk. You're
you
forcing me.
imagine?
And they're like, well, you have a holiday on Monday. So if you don't sign it, you're staying in jail until Tuesday.
Wow.
And I was like, well,
So how long was that from like the accident to the arraignment that you were still
accident
drunk?
was probably, I mean, by the time that was all done, I mean, I was probably 2:30 in the morning. By the time I hit the drunk tank, I was first up 9 a.m.
Okay.
in front of the judge for the arraignment.
And you were still intoxicated.
Oh, but I mean, I had to stay in jail until 6:30 p.m.
Wow.
until I blew like a .05 or something to be able to leave. So, yes, still very much highly intoxicated still.
Now be honest. Did you go home and drink?
No, I didn't have from there on until I was off probation, which was almost 2 years between
Wow.
because you go through arraignment, pretrial, all this stuff. So I wasn't sentenced, but I still had to go do breathalyzers twice a day, like all this crazy stuff even beforehand. So no, I did not have a drop of alcohol until I was off probation nearly two years later.
So that was your 3rd year of college or 4th year?
4th, I was a senior.
Wow.
Yep. So I
So
had
how
turned
much did
21 in May, and then that was October when that happened.
So how much did that change your college experience? Like, did you hang out with friends still and everything?
I did. Yeah. I mean, we still did stuff. I would, the court paperwork said I couldn't even be around alcohol.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like they didn't even want you, but I would still go to parties and stuff, but I just wouldn't drink.
Yeah.
And so I still got to be with everyone, and everyone was really cool about it. I mean, everyone
Well,
knew.
that's good because there's so many people like even our age. We don't really hang out with those type of people, but like if you don't drink, they're like, "Why aren't you drinking?" Like it's such a problem that you're not drinking. So
Yeah, no, I'd be like, DUI. Oh,
yeah, I guess that's a
that sucks. Your senior year of college. Yeah, but it was what it was. But everyone was
Yeah.
pretty good about it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone ever pressured me to try to drink or get around the system or whatever. And it's like, what am I going to do? I gotta do a breathalyzer every 12 hours. That would be like crazy.
Where would your breathalyzer be?
So I would go to the court in the morning when they were
Okay.
open. And then the afternoon one was where my internship was in order to graduate with my criminal justice degree.
My gosh.
Yeah. So it was a work release program facility. So essentially, instead of going to jail, you went there. So you go to your
Okay.
job and you'd go there. So I was interning there. And yeah, I didn't tell them or anything. I was embarrassed, whatnot. And my first night that I had to go, after I started, I had to go to one of the employees and do my breathalyzer in the
Wow.
evening. Yeah.
Convenient, I guess.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
So where was the court? Like how far from the school?
2 to 3 miles, something like that.
And how
So
did you get there?
I would walk.
You would walk 2 to 3 miles there and back.
Yeah.
Did you have morning classes or anything?
I would work it in and around whenever I had a class to be able to go. So like I could, my time could be when it had to be set after I picked it. So I had to look at my schedule.
Really?
Yeah. So I looked at my schedule and was like, okay, I can go at this time and this time because I could make it between all that. Now,
Wow.
sometimes I would get rides and eventually I got my bike, but
Okay.
there was I mean, who's riding your bike in the winter when there's snow on the ground and
That's
stuff. So like I
crazy.
would have to go
So
walk.
how long did it take you? Like an hour
Oh, yeah, probably
or even more than that?
more than that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So because of that, I lost like 30 pounds between
So-
October to January from walking and not drinking and not drinking pop.
Yeah.
Because now I'm not having alcohol. I'm not having pop. I have to walk 3 miles a day.
What about your internship? Did you have to walk to that? How far was that?
That was at the play. It was right across from the court.
Oh, wow.
So it was like right there.
So twice a day.
So twice a day I was making that walk.
That is crazy.
Yeah. And then when it warmed up a little bit and snow wasn't as bad and everything, I brought a bike from home so I could ride my bike.
What did your mom say about all this?
Well, I mean, she was, of course, pissed.
Yeah.
You know, horrified. Could have killed someone. Could have killed myself. Threw your life away. You know, you name it. Laid it all out there. And I mean, I was in my feelings about it, of course. You know, I was embarrassed and guilty and understood the ramifications of everything. And so, I mean, I certainly paid the price. I had to do the breathalyzers twice a day. I had to go to AA every day.
Where was that?
Now, by the time that was all happening, I was getting rides for that. People were giving me rides. There was a bunch of different locations.
Bless
Yeah.
them friends.
I mean, fortunately, because I mean, Uber and all that wasn't a thing then. So,
Yeah, you grew up in the Stone Age.
right. I mean, I still had, and after college is when I got my first smartphone. So like me, I had the sideways flip phone. You could slide up and it had the full
Yeah.
keyboard to text. You know, that I was big balling, man.
Man.
So I would get rides for AA. That was easier to fit in and around my schedule because there was apparently a lot of drunks that needed AA in Adrian. I don't know. There was a ton of meetings. So
Wow.
I could make it. But I also had to do a weekly counseling that I had to pay for.
Oh, wow.
I had to do, what is it? Community service.
What was the community service?
So great friend of mine, Eric, his dad actually helped me out. So like I did work for the post office. I cleaned up like his office, filed things, got the whole exterior cleaned up. And so like he signed off on everything and I got all my hours there.
Gotcha.
So that really worked out. And I had to, and then at a point I could get my license back. So I did all that. I waited the 45 days after I was sentenced, whatever, got the breathalyzer in the car. So I bought an $800 car from the dealership that was fixing my car. So fortunately the gal that was helping me out there, her daughter knew me at school and everything. So a car came in on a trade-in and she sold it to me what they paid for it
Wow.
to get me a vehicle. So for $800, I had a 96 Monte Carlo with 130,000 miles on it
Wow.
and got the breathalyzer and everything.
You know what you get for $800 nowadays?
Scrap.
Literally scrap. Like not even the engine in. Someone took the engine.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably do a little bit better than that, but yeah. So I had a working vehicle and that was huge because I could myself get to work. I was working too. So I was working almost 40 hours a week at the mall,
Wow.
shoe store.
How far was that?
That I would get a ride or there was a dial-a-ride, like a bus service. There was
Okay.
no walking to that. That was like
Gotcha.
miles away. So doing that, working on campus, I had my internship. That was 12 hours a week and senior research. So my final for that was I turned in was like 55 pages and a 3-inch 3-ring binder full of all my research articles to go through all that. And that was 2 credit hours on top of the other 14 of regular classes.
Wow.
So legitimately from January to April when I graduated, I slept probably 4 hours a night every day because of the homework, all the things, breathalyze, because all that had to come after that stuff.
I gotta tell you something. I really love my sleep.
Once a month, I'd get a Sunday off from the shoe store, and I would literally go rent like 4 movies from what was it, the Family Video.
Okay.
And I would just lay in bed and watch movies all day. My roommate at the time went home every weekend.
Okay.
So I had the room to just watch the movies and relax.
Wow.
Once a month.
So how many months was that your life?
Well, so in school, it was from beginning of January to the end of April when I graduated.
Okay.
So that time span. The previous October is when the accident happened. And so from there to 22 months later is when I got off probation.
Okay. So what does your health look like at this point?
Well, then I was in the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
I was working out all the time.
Oh, you worked out too.
Oh yeah, I was working out pretty frequently.
So when did you start working out?
In college, I came back from Christmas break and said, I've been paying for this brand new facility that literally got built before I went there. Full on gym, basketball courts, the whole 9. I'm going to go use it. And so I was 285 when I weighed in coming back. April 29th or April, whatever graduation day was, I weighed 195.
Wow.
So in that 4+ month, almost 5 months, if you think beginning of January, end of April, I lost 90 pounds.
Wow.
I would not leave until I lost a pound. I'd weigh myself before and I'd weigh myself after. I would not have more than 1,600 calories a day.
I mean, it worked, but
it did, yeah. But
I don't think that would be recommended for most people.
But I wasn't really strength training either. So I started picking that up more closer to graduation.
Okay.
And this is where I think, yes, I was healthier in the grand scheme of like, I lost 100 pounds. Like I have to be healthier. But I believe, and what I wish I had done differently then was the balance of strength training versus cardio.
Okay.
Because had I strength trained that weight off, if I had invested the same time into strength training and more gradually lost that weight, I don't believe I would have the loose skin to the level of which I do have now. It usually, like, it fills in better because you're filling it in with more muscle and everything. But I mean, it is what it is. But I was in the best shape of my life, like probably 3 months after I graduated college, because I continued on and everything. I got down to a really lean 180. I was bench pressing over 200, which I had never done in my life, even as athletic and everything as I was in high school because of shoulder injuries and whatever. Like my chest has just always been hard to develop. But yeah, that was the best shape of my life. I felt the best, looked the best. I was most confident in myself. Like I was a completely different person.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went from sad and depressed in college to after college, 180 pounds, nothing could stop me. I was the cat's meow. I was
So your mental health was good at that time?
very confident, very happy.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yep. 100%.
And in college, you never had a girlfriend?
No.
You didn't have a girlfriend until after college?
Yes.
Which, I mean, is kind of sad because you were lonely, but good for me. Less partners for you to have in your past.
100%. You know all about them. I told you.
Yeah, you are my one and only. So you have nothing to worry about.
Right.
But yeah, crazy. So mental health is good. We went over physical health. I mean post college. I mean, the past How long have you been out of college? Like forever. Man, you're getting old.
Yeah, right.
I mean, basically since we've been together.
Graduated in 2012 from college. Mm-hmm. So 12 years.
When I met you, do you remember how much you were weight-wise?
Probably 190-ish, 185,
Okay.
190, I think. So the next retailer, if that's where you're going, the next place that I worked, it was a lot of hours, but it was not a grocery store. So like there was either convenience food there or the Wendy's in the parking lot. But I mean, I still maintained pretty good despite not eating as well.
What's the lowest you got down to?
165.
That's like pretty much what I am today. And I'm 5'2". How tall are you?
5'10".
And I remember seeing that photo of you and I was like, you look unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like it's not always good to be
So
too low.
I was at 185 and wanted to push myself and get lower because again, like I have skin.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy with my body because I have excess skin on my chest and my abdomen everywhere. And so I'm thinking it's a weight issue. So I went on full-blown keto. Wow. I ate nothing but head lettuce, Frank's Red Hot, black coffee, and boiled chicken. I would have...
Boiled chicken.
Yeah. I would have 2 slices of toast every 3 days.
Wow.
And that was my carbs, other than the head lettuce. And so...
lettuce is carb?
Yeah, I mean, anything that's not fat and protein is carb.
Oh, man.
But it's like negative, you
yeah.
know? So in a month, I lost the extra 20, 25 pounds and got down to 165.
How many calories do you think you were having?
I wasn't tracking it, honestly.
I mean, that's got to be so low.
Not enough.
Yeah.
And probably more importantly, the micronutrients lost because chicken is basically pure protein. Mm-hmm. It's not like red meat where there's B vitamins and iron, and I wasn't having salt.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, like I cut everything out to try to push myself to the weight. I was also taking a supplement that is now no longer on the market that was like meant for like bodybuilders, like pre-show bodybuilding.
Homie.
So it would strip you. Like, so it would strip you of water. It would strip you of stuff. I remember at Kroger one time I had taken it and I got stuck facilitating like the cash registers, like customers going into the cash registers, and I didn't have water. And by the time I was done doing that, I had to take a shopping cart to hold me up to walk to the water aisle to get a gallon of water because it dehydrates you so fast and hard. It had stripped me of everything and I didn't have water because I got stuck up front. I literally needed a shopping cart to walk to get a gallon of water to drink it right from the shelf.
So to be clear, you do not recommend it.
Well, you can't even get it anymore.
I know, but like even that like life, like where you're just like lettuce and chicken.
Yeah, I am a huge proponent now. Like God gave us carbs, fats, and proteins for a reason. We need all 3. And so going full blown keto or carnivore or only vegetarian or only fat, whatever these diets are not healthy.
Well,
now,
I will say keto does have its benefits if you have an insulin problem.
That's not to say if you go to your doctor and you have something going on and this is prescribed or dietitian, I'm not saying.
You're going to start some fights now. It's just your personal opinion.
Exactly. It's my opinion.
You're not giving advice. It's just your personal opinion.
So everything needs balance. Your brain feeds on fats and carbs. You need those things. Mm-hmm. Your muscles need protein. You need lean red meat once in a while to get those things that I talked about, rich in the B vitamins and the iron, stuff like that. So that's my belief. You need balance in everything. You can have high days, you can have low days, high carb, low carb, whatever. You just need balance.
Yeah.
So I was not balanced. Then obviously if I'm toppled over a shopping cart, barely able to walk, that was not healthy.
So did you ever pick up alcohol again?
Yeah, after the day I got off probation.
You do not hesitate.
No, I went, friends and I
Wow.
went right to Buffalo Wild Wings, and I had my first tall boy beer.
Wow. So after that, was your drinking more under control?
No, probably not. I mean, it was in the beginning because like I've been nearly 2 months sober. There's no like going back to the way I was, and I'm 140 pounds lighter.
2 months sober. I thought 2 years.
2 years, I'm sorry. Yeah. So like nearly 2 years, 22 months is probably what my brain did there. There was no going back to the old
Yeah.
drinking me. So it was
Well, and
more
you were
in
a lot
control.
less weight.
Exactly.
So
So
yeah.
yeah, I was 150 pounds lighter. Like there
Yeah.
was no like that tall beer.
Yeah.
I was good, you know, to Budweiser, which like is like a beer and a half, you know, whew, I'm good, you know? So, but from there, I mean, and I was in my relationship and it definitely, I think affected that. Eventually, obviously we broke up, but got to drinking pretty
Good.
regularly. Got to drinking pretty regularly. I still drove drunk after that. But I mean, I'm not justifying it, but I definitely knew my limits better. Like there was no like where I was borderline blackout, should I, whatever. Like I'd say like buzzed would probably be like a more applicable word. I'm not saying it's right. Like don't ever do it. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But
In Anna's world,
in Anna's world, you don't even look at your keys.
yeah.
Yeah. And so
I just don't think people should be driving even buzzed. I don't know.
Was never, never pulled over, didn't have an accident after that. It was few and far between, but definitely was out with friends, late at the bar, closing down the bar, drinking, but was just, very active watching my calories. Like I would account for the fact that I'd be drinking and stuff. I'd eat less throughout the day, which they tell you don't do, but like I was being mindful of, I would fast until like dinner. So I'd have my big meal to have a good meal and then incorporate my alcohol calories after that. So I had food and whatever, but yeah, definitely went right back to drinking.
How many days a week do you think you drink?
Probably twice.
Okay. So a lot more manageable.
Well, I don't, maybe even more than that, because the days that I closed, like if I had 2 consecutive closing days at work, because I wouldn't go in until 1 or 2 o'clock, get out at 10, I could be at the bar at 11 o'clock and drink for 3 hours with my friends until 2, go home, sleep until noon, because I didn't have to, I didn't have to be to work till 2 o'clock, sleep till noon, wake up, feel great, get a workout in, whatever, get ready for work, go to work.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, I feel like this pretty much brings us to where we met, and when we met, I was 18. So I was the DD all the time. So I feel like if you were with your friends, you were definitely drinking. But I can't really remember exactly how many days a week or anything. Probably that twice a week, still. And I'm just trying to think. It's all so fuzzy. It's been so long. You've done a great job recalling everything, because I just haven't put much thought into this.
Which is amazing considering what I did to my brain. I mean, I believe getting sober has helped. Like I think my body has really done a great job of repairing itself.
When I turned 21, I think we both drank together.
Absolutely.
More.
Yeah.
Our favorite thing was Friday nights. We would have Main Street Pizza, the best pizza in the world.
I miss Main Street so bad.
Live PD.
Yep.
And we would just have our drinks.
Have drinks.
So, but like I said, I'm a responsible drunk. So I would never even really, I don't know.
Well,
for me, like not drinking a lot and being so small that I am, I hold my alcohol so well.
You did. You definitely, I think, helped me to be more responsible. Now, there would still be occurrences, many times where I'd go way off the deep end and you'd be, collecting me and helping me and whatever. I think especially probably the last like when I got into my 30s. I think when I got into my 30s, I definitely got better control of it because it started to be less enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like the current employer that was at the time, I'd close, have like a day off. So like that closing night, have drinks there, have a few, like not drink a whole bottle, whatever, maybe a pint, and then have the next day off, feel like crap because I'd be hungover or whatever all day, work the following day feeling whatever, and then be feeling good again. By then it was Friday and we were back on. So like I was for years, like in a week, I would have 1 or 2 days where I felt good. And so it just finally came to a head, especially, like, well, we had.
Yeah. I mean, so watching you drink, like my parents, every now and then they would have a drink, but it was not normal in my household. And I've always been the type, like I can take it or leave it. It doesn't matter to me. But being with you was the first time it really clicked in my head that like alcoholism is like genetic. Like it is a thing. It's not really a choice for some people because I would watch you enough. I always say your first drink, you could always make a conscious decision. Do I want this drink or not? After the first one, if you were offered a drink, it was like, yeah, I'll take it. Like you think about it for like a second, but you always take it. After that, there's no choice. You are just going, and there's no stop. And that's scary. So, yeah, that was just very eye-opening for me and definitely made me feel for people who really struggle with this because at a point, it's not a choice. At first it is before you pick up that drink. But when you start going, some people don't have an off switch.
Yeah.
So just thank God we are in this position today. Thank God we have each other. Thank God that we have God.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you want to share about where you are with alcohol now or how that kind of transpired.
Yeah. I mean, we had an emotional night, at least I did, had an emotional outburst, drunk.
And this was how many years ago now? You're almost
approaching 4.
Yeah.
February 12th is my sobriety date. So
Wow.
this February will be 4 years.
Congrats.
Sober. Yeah. So yeah, it was an emotional night. Don't want to get into it. Woke up the next day feeling like crap. I remembered everything. I wasn't blackout or anything. You were very calm. You didn't even really engage in it. You're more or less confused. And the next day we just had a discussion and I was like, this just isn't who I want to be. Like this isn't for me anymore. Mm-hmm. And
you didn't even like drink that much that night. Like it wasn't like you were
no,
like,
I mean, I think it just hit me hard, probably didn't eat enough or whatever. I drank, we named the cat after my favorite drink, Tanqueray Gin.
Isn't that so funny?
Yeah. So now we're sober. Well, you haven't, I don't remember the last time you had a drink, but we named our 2 cats after our 2 favorite alcohols.
It's so funny explaining that to people. Every time we go to the vet, they're like, what's your cat's name? I'm like, Tanqueray. And they're like, Tanqueray. Like the alcohol.
Yeah, Tanqueray Gin.
We just call her Tank, and she looks like a fucking tank. But yeah, my cat is Malibu, and yeah, I haven't drank in like a year and a half. I mean, like, why do it with you? The biggest test of I can't think of the word, but of like your strength or whatever is when we went to Italy. That I could tell you really wanted to try limoncello.
Yeah, that really bummed me out. It really bummed me out. I really did want, because I always heard about authentic limoncello, right?
Yeah.
But nothing is worth it because just like you talked about, that first drink. Mm-hmm. So like right now, it is very easy for me. Mm-hmm. Very easy for me. I'm like repulsed by the idea of having alcohol because it's my sobriety is so important to me.
Yeah.
Because it's not only, I mean, I think when I got sober, I did it for myself finally. Like we had the emotions. I said, I'm tired of this. I don't need this. I want to be a better man, better husband. I want kids someday. Like I can't be acting like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made a decision for myself and for my family because my family was that was going to be for me, right? Whereas before it was for the court.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was doing it that was the law.
And now, since we don't have kids, we have our fur babies. It just saves us money to buy them more treats.
Right, exactly. It's a treat, but it's not adult treat money anymore. It's the dog and cat treat money.
So funny.
So I finally did it for myself. And I mean, in addition to that, I had God. Mm-hmm. Whereas, I mean, growing up, church was never a priority. I could go if I wanted to, but like you're a parent leaving a child up to that choice. I mean, not that it doesn't happen, but like, why would I why would I see the value in that if you're not going to take me, you know, like or explain why, whatever. Yeah. So I didn't really have God. I believed in everything, but was never active in that relationship with him until getting with you because of your faith and your relationship with God. And so that had been developing and everything as well. And so that made it easier too. I mean, I can't tell you how easy it was. It's amazing. It's just like the DUI and surviving that was a miracle. That choice in that moment and how easy it was and has been is a miracle too, because you talked about the struggle that people can have and I have not.
And it's so crazy because I remember saying something to someone online and they were like, yeah, you're fooling yourself if you think your husband still doesn't struggle or if he's not an alcoholic still. And I'm like, you don't get it. Like, I know my husband.
Yeah.
I know my husband. Like, when you think that I don't know if you're mad, like, I know you're mad. Okay.
Right. Just like you'd be able to see that glossed over look in my eyes and be like, oh,
yeah,
no, what's going on here?
Like,
yeah.
I know my husband and it truly is not a problem for you.
Yeah.
It's not. But real quick, because we talked about Italy, I just want to tell one more funny thing. So in Italy, they have on the menu like name brands of wine and stuff like that, but they only have a house wine. You get red or white. That's it. And one of the waiters came up to us and we knew my mom's from Italy. So like, I don't know a ton of Italian, but I've learned enough to get by. We made it a point to learn basic things to go there. So I asked for white wine and he says like, do you want red or white? And I said, I want white. And he looks at you and he's like, red or white? And you said, no,
none.
And he's like says it in more proper English, I guess, like red or white, like, oh, this silly American.
Even better than that, it was like, no, you don't understand what I'm asking you. Like it was like, he was,
it's like stupid American.
Yeah. Like you're being silly. Like, no, like I'm at like, which one do you want?
Yeah.
None. No, I don't need it.
And then he brought
two glasses of white. He was like, oh, you know, like you just didn't understand. I just gave you what your wife wanted.
So funny. So I drank both wines.
Yes.
And honestly, I'm not going to lie. After Italy, that made me want to stop drinking because once you drink in Italy, it is so different than what you get here. It is so much better over there. So much more authentic. Like it really does come from like the local farm.
Yeah.
So it's just like stuff here is just so full of sugar and processed. And honestly, if I'm going to drink, which I'm not like you where like, I don't want to say this harshly, but I don't have like a problem. Hopefully that's not like offensive to say.
I have a problem with alcohol. Yeah. That's why I'm very blessed and humble with the fact that I have overcome that decision. You know,
like moral of that story is just like, you know, I don't mind drinking again, but if I'm going to drink, it has to be something good,
Right.
not this American bullshit.
The
But
next trip to Italy. Yeah.
probably. So, now the only other thing I think we haven't really touched on is like, how's your weight been, the past 12 years, I guess, like after college through we've been together, like,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fluctuated a little bit. I mean, nothing like huge I mean, maybe a little, a 40 pound swing. I think the highest that I've been since we've been together was around 225 and the lowest has been around 185. And so even recently I've made it a point that I need to strength train, getting back into strength training, taking care of myself a little bit better. And so I think now I depending on the day, the meal, whatever, I'm anywhere from 185 to 195, it seems. So
yeah,
I might,
after we moved in together, we definitely gained some weight. We had a
yeah.
lot of potatoes. And I always say it's like your happy weight. Like we were fat and happy together. We
Yeah.
were just so happy to be with each
I always
other.
think of the Orlando photos when
Yeah.
I was wearing like the large shirt and still had the spare tire and like the chest. Like I just was like, man, I really have come away,
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, I still, cause I have, skin and stuff from my weight loss. It's just never going to go away unless I
Yeah.
get surgery. But
Yeah, there was a long time where you just kept saying like if I work out, it'll go away. And I'm like, okay, at your lowest weight when you were 165 and like ghosty, like looked
I like
unhealthy.
that ghosty. That's
you
funny.
know, like did you still have the extra skin? And you said, yeah. So I'm like, okay, then working out is not going to get rid of it. And I'm that person where if you can't change it today, you might as well accept it. So you really want to get skin removal surgery.
Yeah.
I'm very nervous about that. I'm very nervous about any surgery because there's always a risk. But yeah, I mean, you've definitely suffered with body dysmorphia. I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong and it's your story to tell, but I still think you look in the mirror and see fat boy. And I mean, it's just,
Yeah, I don't know about necessarily fat boy, but the first thing I see are the parts of me that I don't like.
yeah.
I still, to this day, don't like my body.
Well, I wouldn't be with no bad looker.
Well, thanks. But yeah, I mean, the first thing my eye always goes to is my abdomen and then my chest. And so it's something that, you said, I kind of like what you said, but I would edit it. Like if you can't change it today, accept it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. If you have done everything you could to
Yeah.
change it that day, like I think there's a difference. Yes, you want to love who you are, but if there are parts of you that you don't love that you can change, you need to work towards
Naturally, hopefully.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, okay, like me, in college, I'm depressed and drinking all the time and eating all this food
Yeah.
because I'm overweight
Yeah.
and can't get a girlfriend and don't understand why someone wouldn't love me. And it's like, I didn't love myself, but I wasn't doing anything productive to change it. I was stuck in the same cycle. So it's like I continued to drink and eat, and it was the spiral of things causing my depression. And so like, yes, I don't like where I'm at with like my chest and abdomen, whatever, but like I'm working out strength training 4 days a week to try to get some things filled in, gain muscle,
And
whatever.
we eat so good. I mean, like we might eat like a lot sometimes, like when we make Indian food. So good. My
Yeah.
favorite meal. But we really, I mean, the past couple of years, and we'll talk more about this with my health journey, but we really try to like only get ingredients from scratch, from if as much as we can buy from the farmer's market. We get our meat share from the local farmer. I mean, we really, one ingredient one ingredient meals, not meals, but we just get one ingredient. Like we don't
Like they're
shop.
whole. It's not
Yeah.
processed.
We don't
We
shop
try
in
to
the
really limit
aisles.
the processed foods. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is such a game changer. We did grow some of our own food, and our hope is to be able to do more of that, get more land and everything. So that's made such a big difference. But no, I hear what you're saying. Like you can't like sit on your booty all day on your phone, and then complain that you're depressed. And it's like, it's because you're sitting on your booty all day on your phone. Like
Right.
you have
Like,
to like get outside and touch some grass.
you can, I like it just I am a huge proponent that your physical health affects your mental health, which affects your emotional health, which affects your physical, like all these things are intertwined.
Yeah.
And so like it's proven you release endorphins and like you feel better when you're
Yeah.
working out and
Yeah.
exercise and all. So like now all of a sudden you're happier.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm happier. So I have a little more energy
Yeah.
because you have more of those good energizing hormones. And so now you have the energy to work out. And so it becomes this cycle upward instead
And
of
I think
downward.
everyone should get a dog because our dogs have kept us accountable. Like we have to go on a walk every day.
Yeah.
And if we don't, they're like, excuse me,
Ma'am, sir,
fodder.
Ryan, not even father at that point, Ryan.
So yeah, we've definitely trained them to keep us accountable too at this point. I feels like we're kind of wrapping up, but just really quick, I just want to talk about your acne, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't a huge long story, but I just find it so fascinating. So you had cystic acne your whole life, right?
Yeah, I'd say, especially, I mean, I equated it kind of during my sports years with like the helmet and stuff, because like sweat accumulating, but my neck and my chest have always been an issue.
And when we got together, I mean, you wore a cross necklace every day, and you started thinking maybe it was that. And because I think it was like nickel, and some people have a nickel allergy.
Mm-hmm.
So for our wedding gifts to each other were cross necklaces. So I've worn mine every single day. I took it off for an x-ray twice, I think. So I got you, what was it, titanium, where you don't have an allergy, like no one has an allergy or something.
It was stainless steel or titanium,
I think
something
it was
like
titanium.
that. Yeah.
So you started wearing that, but then you still had acne, eventually took it off. But yeah, so it was, moral of the story, it wasn't the necklace. And finally, your mom never took you to the dermatologist ever. But you did,
I used Proactive, and that
as
did
a kid.
help.
Okay.
But I will say, also around the time in middle school, when I was eating better, and because that was all during that time, I started to eat better. I was making food for myself. So in part, why I became such a good cook, much to what my mom didn't like, because now she's trying to cook for one instead of us both. But my acne got a lot better when I started to eat better and was running and wanting to lose the weight and stuff.
Yeah.
So and it was a less processed diet. And part of that I cut out because I grew up on whole milk. Like I could drink a half gallon of whole milk and be happy.
As someone that's lactose intolerant,
Yeah,
I just
that
want to
makes
throw
you
up already.
But yeah, I loved it. Like I could easily sit down and drink that. It's like that was a big calorie thing. That's calorie dense. So I cut that. I cut like ice cream, like all these things. Like I cut it out. So now my cheese, I very easily cut cheese out, especially when I was trying to cut calories after college. That was one of the first things. Oh, I barely taste this. That's 200 calories. That's easy to cut. So like that, I just started to get rid. We're kind of where you're going with this, but like I cut out dairy just because I was trying to cut calories. And so I think my skin got better because of it.
So we get together, and something my mom has passed down to me is picking at acne. You can thank my mother for that. So I always just am like, let me get that, because your acne, I mean, the cystic acne can be really bad. I mean, it takes up like half your neck, and I'm like, dude, we have to do something about that. So it just, over years, I mean, this is probably like 6 years into our relationship. Like, you're like, I'm really need to stop. Like, I mean, you told me to stop before that, but I'm like, okay, but you've never been to the dermatologist. Like, you need to just go, and I'm not going to make that appointment for you. Like, you need to do it. And so eventually you're sick of me wanting to poke at you and talk about your acne. And so you finally make that appointment and you go to the dermatologist. And from some TikTok videos, people talk about Accutane, and I knew the doctor was going to bring it up. So I did some preliminary research, and not only did I look at some videos of people talking about it recently, but I also looked at some side effects and stuff like that. And everyone that I came across said that it was the time of their life that they were the most depressed is when they were on Accutane. And I started researching about it, and basically it's like super vitamin A. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, why can't you just take
synthesized?
I'm like, why can't you just take vitamin A? Like, I don't understand. But it's just like super packed, where like just eating it or supplementing it is not enough. Like, it's super packed vitamin A. But one of the side effects, or one of the warnings that I saw, is that if you've ever dealt with depression, which you've admitted to in the past, like if you've ever at all, then you do not want to take it because it makes you really depressed. And we go to the doctor, and the dermatologist, she doesn't even look at you. Like, she's like looking at her clipboard and doesn't, like, barely looks up at you, and is like, oh, you suffer with cystic acne. We'll probably want to get you on Accutane. I almost lost my fucking shit. Like, you're not even going to touch your patient. Yeah. You're not going to ask him if he's dealt with depression. When, who am I? I'm no doctor. And I can find that this is not a good option for you.
Yeah. And I knew of it, like, cause I was around and heard this floated around when it first rolled out, that it helps and all this and that. But the side effects, especially then when it first came out with that, it scared me.
Well, and that's what the doctor said. Oh, it's different than what it used to be. I'm watching videos of people who took it this past year, and they're saying it is the worst thing in the world. Yeah. Like, for their mental health and everything. But I do want a disclaimer. Can you tell the audience that you are happy now?
Some days.
But it would just make me feel better, and it's not a forced response, because the work I do, and I don't want to get emotional, but I'm going to. The work I do, sometimes I get nervous that my family's going to be targeted. So, because I uncover a lot of things. Yeah. So, I'm very happy, even though I'm crying right now. So yeah, that's like one of my biggest fears, is that someone's going to attack my family, because I uncover so much about dark money and politicians. So can you talk about the state you're in today?
Yeah, I'm certainly in a much better place, much happier. I'm not going to like lie. I'm someone of integrity. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's not perfect.
But you're not, like, we see like these like whistleblowers and stuff who off themselves. And and it's always like someone that the family's like, no, they wouldn't do that. Right. So it's just like, I don't think you would do that.
No, that's certainly, now in the past, I certainly had thoughts, never like actively would like plan and everything, but like the image, and I don't want to go like too dark, but like I like the images of how and whatever, like, definitely would go through my head. Like,
but now, now,
I mean,
especially with our doggies.
Yeah, I have too much to live for.
Yeah.
I have too much love in my life. I have God in my life. I have you. I have our beautiful dogs and cats. And eventually down the line, I hope and pray that we have kids in some regard, whether it be you birth them or we adopt or foster or whatever, but like that's a goal of mine to be a father. I just, there's too much that I want and have. So
Yeah.
no, that is certainly not anywhere on my radar. You know, do I have sad days? Do I struggle? Like, yeah, I do. Like, it's just, it's a part of my being, I believe. But,
Well, let me finish. Yeah, let me finish the story. That was such a squirrel.
squirrel tangent.
Yeah. But okay, so we go to the dermatologist. It's such random. She says Accutane, and I'm like, okay, can he just take vitamin A? Oh, well, that's not gonna be enough, like topical or whatever. It's not gonna be nearly enough that you need. I'm like, okay. And it was actually funny because a few months before that, before we went to the dermatologist, you actually cleared up for a while, and then it came back again. So I'm like trying to think at like literally as like we're sitting there and going through things, I'm trying to think like what changed. And we eventually leave. I think she scheduled just some excisions or whatever, incision, whatever you call
Yeah,
it.
I went and got like shots.
Yeah, whatever.
Essentially.
So, but we didn't do the Accutane. So I'm thinking about it. I'm like, what's changed? And I remembered we bought a cereal for you, which you never eat cereal, but you just so happen to buy a box of cereal for yourself. And I'm like, okay, well, with cereal, you need milk. Okay. Like, and without the cereal, you never drink milk. So that's why the acne came back. It said, so let's just try to get rid of dairy.
Now understand, it was like Trix and Lucky Charms marshmallows together, right? I mean, like, oh my gosh, like you had to try it. But
Do not
yeah.
tell RFK Jr. So yeah, so we just, and I'm lactose intolerant. So like I have the Fairlife milk or something, but I think we're still kind of testing things. I don't know if you can do the Fairlife.
I think I do feel better about, or I understand it better. Cause like when I eat cheese, like pizza, we just had pizza or whatever. I didn't have a huge breakout, but when we had charcuterie,
Yeah.
and it was the raw cow's cheese. I
Yeah.
can have goat, but the raw cow's cheese or Fairlife, like ice cream, milk, like the unprocessed, like uncooked, like
Whatever.
untouched, like just that raw milk. That's what does it. I think that's what it is. Cause like when I've had it baked or cheese or whatever, for whatever reason, it just doesn't seem to react as poor.
And
as
thank
much.
God we have an amazing cheese store close by. So they always get in all the goat cheeses and sheep cheeses
I'm
for
not
us.
missing out. I'm happier the most probably because I got some really cool flavors
Yeah,
and things. And
they do an incredible job. We love them at the cheese store. So, yeah. And you had a spurt, and we also, there's a tea shop in town and they use organic milk. So you had that in your drinks for a little bit because we thought it was fine because it was organic coming from the local farm, but it just, you couldn't do that either.
Yeah.
So you had like a lot in one little spot, but other than that, like your skin has been pretty clear. So I've learned personally that and again, I'm not a doctor. Go talk to your doctors about this stuff, but this is just what I've taken away from a lot of things that I've learned is that skin problems, acne, whatever, are actually gut problems. And we'll talk about more when we talk about my health journey, because like when I have acne, it's always because I had like too much sugar or my hormones are off or something. It's not because of anything topical. So many people try to sell you these topical things that will save you, but it's really just putting a Band-Aid on it. It's not actually fixing the problem. Like Accutane was a Band-Aid fix. The problem is your gut.
Yeah.
Like you're allergic to milk.
Yeah. Right.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about before
I could talk about, I love this stuff now, especially so hopefully when we talk about you a little bit, I would love to talk about like understanding
Oh, are you going
a
to interview
nutrition.
me?
Yeah, maybe. But like understanding a nutrition label,
Yeah.
the different macros, the importance of them, supplementation. I'm really big on, guys, find yourself a really good, clean, whole daily supplement. Get your vitamin D.
Well, you can't like give medical advice, so just your personal opinion.
Okay, for me, I really enjoy a whole bunch of stuff. Like half my
Yeah.
lunch bag is, I probably got 12 supplements in my regimen. But I'm really big on supplementation. And just, yeah, I think the thing that I'm really happy about right now with my weight and my body and everything with strength training and all that is I am allowing myself to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I got up to 225 and needed to lose weight. So I was using like the calculators and watching my calories, whatever. And I wasn't like hungry, but it was like very regimented and rigid. And that was always good. That was good for me when I was losing the weight too, back in college, that I couldn't be over 1600, whatever. I needed that accountability. But now I allow myself to eat. I'm not looking at the calories. I'm not looking at the macros. Because I know the choices I need to make and the balance. So like, I know I need lean proteins. I know I need vegetables that aren't laced with oils and stuff.
We know that it needs to be balanced.
Right. But
you know?
like with me, because right now I am trying to strength train and get stronger and build my muscle. Like I need to be in a calorie, at least maintenance calories or a surplus. So like to work those calories off and everything. So like right now I'm really happy with where I'm at with my nutrition and what I'm eating and my weight. And I am seeing rapid like strength increase and all that. So yeah, I mean like I'm definitely in a much better, healthier spot with that. So yes,
Well,
very
awesome.
happy to be sober, very happy with nutrition.
And very happy to be happy.
Very happy to be happy. Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I joked before we even started the podcast that you were going to come on the show once and never be allowed back on again. This is not going to be a normal thing. Mainly because we worked from home together for 1 month and it was like the worst month ever. We can't do it. We can't work together. Love you, but we need to have our separation.
We need some space.
Yeah.
And that's totally healthy and good.
Yes.
So I'm very happy to have been a part of this, not just behind the scenes, but actually on screen. But and I'm very proud of you for what you've done in your career and everything, your health journey, your investigative, just everything. You've been a self-starter, go-getter. It's one of the many reasons why I said yes to the dress and married you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I thank you for coming on and being open. And I hope it inspires someone.
Absolutely. 100%. Even just one person.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on.